Hello, everybody. Welcome back to yet another fantastic episode of Why So Serious, a Nerd podcast. I'm Andy. I'm your host this evening. I am joined by the one, the only, the gorgeous David Cochran, as we are going to be chatting about The Boys episodes 5 to 7 this evening. We've got a few weeks to catch up on because, believe it or not, the last 6 weeks have been fucking mental. We've been covering Maul, we've been covering Daredevil, we've been covering The Boys, we've had Week in Geeks to do. So each time we've had to sacrifice one recording a week to make sure we get something else done, and therefore we've sacrificed the last couple of weeks of The Boys to make sure we finished off Maul and Daredevil, which you can jump onto Spotify, Apple Podcasts, anywhere else where you listen to your podcasts, and you can catch up on all the episodes. You can also catch the live streams that we did here on YouTube. And of course, if you want to know our social media, get yourself across to Instagram, get yourself across to TikTok, get yourself across to X, and you can find the links to all of our stuff in there, as well as our website where you can get to know us a little bit more, read our bios. There's links to everything on there as well as our merch store. Go and treat yourself. I don't know if there's any big holidays coming up in America soon. There's fuck all happening in the UK, but doesn't mean that you can't go and treat yourself right now. Go and get yourself a White Cities t-shirt, get yourself a hoodie, get yourself a baby grow. There's plenty of people having sex and having babies, so you've got no excuse to not buy it for someone, if not yourself. But you can also get yourself across to Panelbound Comics. Use the code at checkout Why So Serious to get yourself a little discount. Because Why So Serious are kind like that. We're here to help you out and get your comic book on. Dave, how are you doing?
We're doing all right. Yeah, it's been a crazy past couple of months, so we're hanging in there, man. And recapping off with The Boys finishing off here. Punisher just dropped. Mando drops next week or week and a half. Yeah, things have just been a little bit insane. Yeah,
it's been so mental, hasn't it? It's been absolutely crazy. Yeah, as he mentioned, Punisher special One Last Kill dropped this week, or yesterday, or Tuesday if you're in America. It had to wait till Wednesday for it to the UK. But make sure you tune in 9 a.m. PST Sunday morning, and I believe all four of us for the first time in fucking months as well are all going to be together to cover the Punisher special and give our thoughts on that. So apparently Dave doesn't want to hear my opinion. He's done and dusted with me on that one. Just an excuse for him to bail on the recording.
And you ask 6 times and you get ghosted. You just, for your own pride, got to be like, I don't even want it anymore.
It's because I'm saving my first impressions for the listeners and the viewers.
I do like that. I like you're better at that, and it's a better reaction when I hear for the first time your thoughts on something when we're actually in the episode rather than a Snapchat message. Yeah. So I do actually appreciate that you do that.
So 9 a.m. PST Sunday morning. Make sure you tune in for our Punisher One Last Kill review. As we said, we've got the finale of The Boys next week. That's sure to be epic, so tune in for that. Week after that, Mandalorian and Grogu, as David said, 22nd it's out, isn't it? So I've got my ticket booked. I'll be there on the Friday to watch that. I'm sure we'll get to that maybe towards the end of that weekend or even the week after, give us all a chance to see it, I suppose. We've all got families and shit and lives for the most part. Well, I don't really have a life, but I'll still be there to watch. That's why I'm there opening day, to be fair. So, but we're not here to talk about that. And then, well, actually, to be fair, we're going to have a nice break in June for a few weeks, aren't we? Before then, like, Supergirl and stuff comes out towards the end of the month. So I think we all might take a holiday, to be fair. Fuck it. I think it's deserved. After the last 2 months have been mental. Like, our group chat has been mental the last few months. Like, who's free to do this week? Let's divide and conquer. When are all four of us going to be together? Never again. It's not happening. Until this Sunday. I literally think, like, since February, we've only all been together twice. So for like in the last stream,
what was the
James Caan episode in February, and then I think there was one maybe in March or April.
Maybe in March, I forget which one it was, but it has been rare. We have like 3 in this calendar year. Like, it has not been often. Mental.
Oh, we really should get together a bit more often. Maybe that happens over the summer. But cool, but we are here this week to talk about The Boys. Season 5, your thoughts so far up to episode 5, Dave?
My thoughts so far up to episode 5. I thought we had a strong start to the season. I was one of the people that did not enjoy season 4, which I've mentioned many times, so I'm not going to jump back into that. Uh, but I thought it had a redeeming start. I was really enjoying it. I'm enjoying Soldier Boy being involved more.
Mhm.
Uh, things we've been getting between him and Homelander. I've seen some people almost complaining, saying Jensen Ackles has been in the show so much this season that it feels like they're just promoting Vought Rising, which to me it's like, but this is what everybody's been asking. Yeah, and for sure, probably because yeah, that's a smart thing. But this is what everybody's been asking for. Everybody's wanted Soldier Boy, so now they're giving it. We're getting more scenes with him in this season than any other season before, and now people are starting to get skeptical with that. So I'm totally good with it. I'm really enjoying Jensen Ackles' role in this. It's not perfect up to episode 5 yet. I think I enjoyed the first 4 episodes and the last 3 actually. But yeah, no, up to episode 5, I've been enjoying the season.
Yeah, Soldier Boy has been by far my favorite character this season. His just one-liners and stuff are just hilarious. He's just looking at the deep. Do you want some knee pads? Because you look like you want to suck my hog. It's just brilliant. But yeah, so I maybe have a different perspective of season 4 because I'm not in America and it's not a piss take out of my country and my economy, and the state of things where I live, even if we're not far behind a complete shit show over here. So I kind of I've enjoyed. I don't think there's a season I've not enjoyed. To be fair, with the boys, I think
Okay.
I can't remember if season 3 was my favorite. To be fair, because I came to the boys a bit late. I didn't start watching it
Okay.
until season 3 had been released, so I kind of like binge watched 1 and 2, and then caught up with season 3 just as I think it was ending.
Okay.
So I did get into a little bit late, but it has been really good. This season though has felt, and I'm going to include the last 3 episodes when I see this as well. So 1 to
Okay.
7, it's felt like the pacing's off in this
Yes.
season. Like we've hit the end of episode 7, and it still feels like we should have like 3 or 4 episodes to go.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like they've told a full story yet, really.
That's what I meant by the first 4 episodes. I think I've liked more than the last 3 because it was like, okay, we've still got time and they're still doing it. Like the first 4 episodes weren't amazing, but I still liked it. But yeah, episodes 5, 6, and 7, I'm getting more and more like, okay, what are we doing? Where are we? What are we doing? I don't know what we're doing right now. And now we have 1 episode left with so much stuff to tie off. I mean, we got one major thing finally in episode 7. But there's 1 episode left. So it's just like, what are we doing? I don't know. I'm a little nervous to see how they're going to wrap all this up. And I will say real quick, season 4, yes, the whole US stuff, obviously that is definitely a part of why it was like, all right, this is kind of trying to escape this. But it was my least favorite season as far as character introductions go. I thought Firecracker and Sister Sage were both really weak compared to other seasons, especially coming off season 3 where Soldier Boy gets brought in. We get these crazy elevated action sequences, and then we fell back to season 4 with Sister Sage and Firecracker that I really didn't enjoy. So that was part of it too. But yeah,
fair. I think that's fair. But episode 5 entitled One Shots. So this was done in a like comic book vignette style. So it's like 5 separate stories that were all sort of shown the same day from different perspectives. Excuse me. So we have like Homelander, Firecracker, O'Father. They're coming together to plan his like ascension and his being told to the country and stuff that he is the new god, so to speak. And they come up with the brand new American Testament, which has Homelander on the front of it, and decide that they're going to call it the Democratic Church of America, which is fucking hilarious. And so they sort of follow like Homelander's story and Firecracker's story in that sort of segment, where we see Firecracker having a crisis of faith when a hometown reverend is basically, I think killed, essentially, isn't it? Because they say that they did a raid on the church or whatever, and he was either captured or killed. And she then has to decide where her loyalties lie, with Homelander being the new Lord and Savior, and do they accept him in their hearts? And we see that just as she decides that she's going to accept it, because she throws her little like toy Jesus in the bin, the fact that she's been sleeping with Soldier Boy is hilarious, and he again has hilarious comments. He's like, "What's with the full but? What's with the shaved pussy?" It's like things like that. It's just brilliant. But then obviously once Soldier Boy reveals to Homelander that they've been shagging each other, and she's been saying that she's not exactly believing in this mission of his, Homelander decides he's going to cut her loose. And how often do you see Homelander turn around and say to someone, "You can just leave"? Like he either like lets you continue on doing your thing, or he kills you off. And she then begs for her place in the Seven, and results with her having her head speared onto the wings of the statue that they were stood next to. So she talked herself into being killed when she could have just walked away after betraying her faith. So, what was your views on Firecracker's story coming to an end?
Yeah, man, I just this is one of my issues. I thought from start to finish, as far as everything Firecracker did in this show, she was pretty useless. I mean, she took drugs so she could milk herself for Homelander, and then she was kind of a Fox News, imitation commenter. So I just, from start to finish, I just don't think her story that was told, her character arc, was that worth telling. But yeah, the end there, it's like, what are you doing? Leave. So you're telling me that you had this crisis where they're making you pretty much your dad, because this seemed to be her second dad in nature as far as the pastor of this church. They're making you say on national television that this man is a pedophile and that he touched you and all that. You do that. You go all the way. You claim him to be a pedophile, and then Homelander kicks you out, and you sit there and beg to stay with the team that just forced you to do that. Like, they're letting you go, girl. Get the hell out of here. Go firecrack somewhere else. Go to Guam. Go to somewhere else. What are you doing? And so I thought it was kind of fitting how like effortless Homelander killed her, because it felt like she was so like unimportant that it was just a little like, oh, get out of the way, and just kind of shoved her head directly into an eagle's wing. It was like, and that's the end of Firecracker story, I guess. So yeah, I don't know. I guess just top to bottom, Firecracker as a whole just didn't do it for me. But I couldn't help but think how dumb she was to not walk away.
Yeah, I mean, I was never that fussed about her. She was obviously designed to be annoying as hell. Plus, that, I mean, I obviously I'm not as familiar with parts of America as you would be, but wherever her accent is from, it just that accent annoys the shit out of me anyway. Like, was it the South, the Deep South, or something? I don't know.
It's a combination of Southern accents. I don't think they even know where she was supposed to be from. But and talk about top 5 least impressive powers. Do you remember when she got introduced and Sister Sage asked her what her power was, and she snaps her fingers and it like created smoke? It's like, yo, sick.
Yeah, not really much of a superpower, isn't it? I mean, so yeah, I mean, I saw people saying that this was like a really great story arc for her in this episode, just to sort of round everything off. But no, it's just like you're so desperate to stay in the vacuum of power that Homelander's created that you would talk yourself into being killed rather than walk away and live without it. So, but that's brought Firecracker's story. We knew she was going to die in this particular, obviously in this series. It was just a case of when and by whom. I don't think. I'm trying to remember if I did predict it was going to be Homelander or not. I think I may have done at the start predicted it was going to be Homelander that kills her off. So if that was, I'm on a bit of a hot streak, because I've got a few things from Daredevil and the boys right recently. So if that was because normally my predictions are fucking awful. So
let's get those clips.
It's good to get some right. Just quickly, Black Noir's sort of side quest in this episode, where he's doing a side gig as a BG stage play to process his feelings, and using it, to process his feelings over the Deep's portrayal regarding Stan Edgar in the previous episode. What did you make of this quickly, just before we talk about the main bit of this episode?
As far as a character, I know it's a different person, but as far as a character, as the mantle of Black Noir goes, I can't think of a bigger fall off from season 1 and 2 Black Noir to the Black Noir we have now. I think it maybe would have been more entertaining if it was a season 2 storyline, but the last season we're dealing with him going and doing Broadway plays, and Adam Bork or whatever is still I don't know. It was like it was kind of funny, but like not for the last season. Halfway into the season, like it felt like we're wasting time.
And the fact that the Deep has Adam Bork killed with, what was it, like a giant fucking eel coming out the toilet up his ass.
Eel in the ass. God, what a way to
That's the way
go.
to go. Although interesting that obviously I found out that it's the same actor that played Black Noir in series 1 and 2.
Yeah.
Um,
Or like
but now
the body or the guy under the suit, was it? Or it was
yeah, it's still the
Yeah,
exact
yeah,
same
yeah.
actor that played
Yeah.
him in season 1 and 2. It's just now he
Sure,
was
yeah.
allowed to talk.
It didn't show his face. Right. Yeah.
No, yeah. And then probably the best bit of episode 5. So, Soldier Boy and Homelander have questioned Stanager as to where they can find V1, and it's again down to this thing that Stanager's got that sort of, he like doesn't clearly really want to die, but at the same point he's not really scared of these guys, and his quips back and forth are quite funny. Because he's always like saying to Soldier Boy, he's just like, you know, we thought you were going to be it, and you turned out to be a giant waste until we found someone better than you. And he's like looking at him and he's like, not that that amounted to much either. And it's just like, I love the so sarcastic quips. You're like looking at two of the strongest soups in the game, and you're just straight up insulting them.
Does not care.
No. But they reveal that they need to go and see Mr. Marathon and Mal Chemical. Because Mr. Marathon is a bit of a vaunt know-it-all and stuff, so they're suggesting that he might know who has any of the V1 compound. So we go out and we go in to see Mr. Marathon, played by Jared Padalecki. And obviously we got Mal Chemical, played by, his name's escaping me now because I don't have
Misha
it down on my notes in front of me. Misha Collins, that's it. So we got the Supernatural reunion.
Yeah.
And if any of you've seen
That's
online
real.
as well, they did obviously release a clip of when they would basically did their scenes together as the supernatural characters of Dean, Sam, and Cass. So that was quite funny. To be fair, that was quite cool.
That had
They're
to have been
banning,
fun
they're,
for
they're
them,
gonna
dude.
Dean. They're gonna ban porn. It's just like, oh my god.
No, that, and I never even watched Supernatural, but that was
Really?
even to
Oh,
me.
okay.
I was like, this is really cool. This is like a pretty, and they already had Dakota Bob, who was from Supernatural as well. So they've already been bringing this. Jeffrey Dean Morgan was in it too,
Yeah.
correct? I mean, so a lot of it's just cool how they've done that, and I'm sure Jared and Jensen were having a blast doing the filming.
Well, I remember Jensen said it took them like 3 or 4 takes to get out of the mannerisms they used to use in Supernatural, because they're so used to doing that they had to get into the main characters differently. So we've got Mr. Marathon, who used to be a member of the Seven. He was the speedster before he basically got ditched for A-Train, because he basically did so many drugs it fucked up his system, and he couldn't run as fast anymore. But there were lots of little Easter eggs as they walk through his house to like different superhero things, and the Flash and Supernatural as well, and I think Vampire Diaries that Jared Padalecki was in before, as well. So lots of cool Easter eggs if you want to go back and watch that. And then there is a super bad reunion going on in his house at the same point, because we've got all the guys from Superbad in there, which was absolutely hilarious to see. Just random celebrity Seth I was going to say Seth Green, that's not right, Seth Rogen, and some of the other guys as well in there. So that was really cool. But then obviously they go into Mr. Marathon's big ass vault, and he's got all of his stuff in there, and we get a little bit more inkling as to like Soldier Boy's thoughts on Stormfront, because he sees the picture of her when she was a Nazi in the 40s or 50s or whatever. And they're obviously playing for time, saying, "Oh, Bomb Site is the guy who's got the V1. Let me give him a call, and he can come down and you can question him." What was also funny about this is just like the disgust that Homelander has on his face, looking at all of them, and then seeing all like the baby oil or whatever that was on there on the side, like the gallons of it, and just looking at Mr. Marathon with absolute fucking disgust. But then it turns out, obviously,
right there.
yeah, absolutely. But then turns out that obviously Bomb Site's not coming, Homelander's going to leave, and Mal Chemical hisses some gas in his face to pass him out. And then we get, again, the hilarious scene between the three of them, the Supernatural boys, where they're basically telling Soldier Boy to do his chest thing and get the V out of him, and then they can fuck him up. And he's just like, he's a weird asexual freak, but he's my weird asexual freak. Like, nobody fucks my son but me. It's like, that came out wrong. Before he then beats the shit out of him, and then we get this hilarious scene as well where Mr. Marathon's sprinting around the house after Soldier Boy, and he keeps putting all the super bad actors in front of himself. So Mr. Marathon basically does opening scene of A-Train season 1, where he's just running through people and they're all exploding, including the comedian that plays the Pontiac Bandit from Brooklyn 99. I don't know his actual actor name in real life, but he just pops in it for literally like 15 seconds before he gets run through.
Oh, out of the bathroom, Craig
Yeah,
Robinson.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then obviously Seth Rogen at the end gets basically like sliced in half for Mr. Marathon's like, oh, okay, and just snaps his neck to kill him off. Before then, he obviously comes to his own end with the fact that like he's knocked out by Soldier Boy. Before then, Homelander walks in and stomps on his head. So this was the biggest bit about this episode. We've been waiting for Jared Padalecki ever since we were told he was going to be cast in this season to show up. What did you make of this entire situation from start to finish? I've just spent a long time talking about it, so take over from me for a bit.
No, it was hilarious watching, again, like you said, Soldier Boy and Homelander interacting while they're walking through this house, and they're discussed with these people, these pathetic Hollywood actors that they're just absolutely disgusted with. It was very entertaining. It very quickly turned into live action Tom and Jerry rated R. I swear to God, somebody posted a clip with the Tom and Jerry theme songs playing while Soldier Boy was running around and putting them, and they like sped it up and slowed it down at points, and it was just like, yeah, that was absolutely a Tom and Jerry cartoon right there with Soldier Boy. And I know it was funny, so you don't need to think too deep into it, but if you do, it's like, if he's super speed, wouldn't he have you been able to get out of the way of at least half of those dudes? But that's not the point. It was just a funny thing. It was a funny sight gag kind of deal going on. And then he used the P. Diddy oil to take him down and then snap his leg. Yeah, kind of disappointing that they keep teasing this with Soldier Boy. Like, yeah, he is a freaking freak. He is a weirdo. But I'm going to keep helping him. It's like, God damn it, stop doing that, man. So he does it later on in the season. He continues to do that, and I get it is his son. But yeah, that was a little disappointing. Even though I knew he wasn't going to blast him there, it was episode 5. He wasn't about to lose his powers there, but it was like, it hurt a little bit to hear him say that and be like, yeah, he's got his back still, son of a bitch. Interesting about Mr. Marathon. I guess in the comics, he was like one of the few heroes who wasn't a complete piece of shit. Him and... I forgot the second guy. Translucent he was a huge piece of shit. A-Train was a huge piece of shit. But Mr. Marathon and somebody else were actually like good people. But the show did not do that for a single character in the show. They are all huge pieces of shit in some way.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a fair assessment of them at the moment, to be fair. But it was highly enjoyable. I kind of wish that they'd had Jared in it for the rest of the season, to be fair. Like him and Soldier Boy bouncing off each other could have been just fun, to be fair, because they've obviously got good chemistry after 15 years together in Supernatural. So I think to see them together a bit longer than one episode would have been quite fun. But it was just Eric Kripke obviously wanting to bring a little Supernatural reunion. And it's not like that's the only Supernatural Easter egg that we've had in this season. We even got one in the latest in Ep5-7, and Soldier Boy was saying it's not going to be one of those like throwing catch in the backyard, fixing up the Impala things. So just love dropping them in there. But so that brought us to the end of season 5. So they know that they're going and see or find Bombsite, who's going to have the V1. So that gets us into episode 6, Though the Heavens Fall. So, just one last thing I want to touch on episode 5 before I move on, because I almost forgot about it until I just looked then. Obviously, it was jumping around from characters to characters to give us their perspective throughout the day. And the only one we get from the boys' perspective is Terra the dog. So we see a lot of...
Oh, was that this episode?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we have to talk about that.
Yeah, so apart from obviously just giving us a little bit of insight into what happened after the failed attempt at Fort Harmony to get any V1, we get things from the dog's point of view, and he has these 2 dreams where he's imagining Homelander bending over and he's like, "Are you a good boy? Do you want to fuck me?" And he's like, "Hey, do you want this turkey leg? You gotta fuck me first." And just like bending over, and it's just like, how could Anthony Starr have done those scenes without cracking up a million times?
Can you imagine how many takes that took of him trying to get that sequence, dude?
Just like a camera down at the ground pointing his ass, and he's like, "Do you want to fuck me?"
Fuck me, don't you? Yeah, he's
Here's a
showing
turkey
off his
leg.
ass. Like, dude,
Oh,
I was dying. Those scenes were
yeah.
hilarious. So that was good.
I just had to mention that before we moved on, because if I didn't, I would have regretted it. And to be fair, it was
Absolutely.
absolutely hilarious. Okay, episode 6. So, obviously, we properly pick up with the boys now, following the failed mission at Fort Harmony to get the V1. Um, they're lacking the V1 compound to level the playing field, and they've got to try and replicate the anti-soup virus. Um, so what's really interesting about this episode really was the fact that we're going to get Sister Sage's whole plan revealed. I can't remember if that happened maybe in the episode before, but her plan is to basically have the virus released, kill off a bunch of soups, have the soups retaliate against humans. They have an all-out war against each other, and she basically fucks off to some private vault as if it's Fallout, and just sit there and just be in peace and quiet, knowing that the world basically destroyed itself between the two of them. How this plan was going to come to fruition when she planned on having the virus that kills off soups released and expect there to be enough soups left to have a war with the rest of humanity, I don't know, because that seemed like a massive flaw in the plan. But let's just talk about Sage for a minute, because the problem that I have with
Let's.
Sage really is the fact that she is obviously written to be the smartest person on the planet by far. There's like nobody that comes close to her level of intelligence. And the issue I have when you try and write people like this is that even at the end of the day, if you can imagine good things of what they could potentially do with that intelligence, the character is still only as smart as the people that write her. And that to me becomes an issue. Because her plan is dumb. I just pointed out one of the big flaws in it, like, and the fact that she's going about all this, to just basically have a room that she can sit in quietly and not worry about anything and just watch things and read things until she dies. It's the dumbest thing I've ever seen in the boys. To be fair, the fact that she's trying to orchestrate all this just so she can do this. So
Yeah.
she obviously rebels here because shit's not gone to plan. You know, her plan in Gen V with Thomas Godolkin didn't go to plan in the end. Things start going a little bit shit here for her. She anticipates the way everyone's trying to act and it doesn't really go her way. She's obviously betrayed Homelander in the end now. She's sort of aligned herself with the boys a bit, although she's doing it for her own ends. But obviously what happens at the end of the episode, she's like, looks panicked because she's like, this is not supposed to happen. So, your thoughts on Sister Sage, her plan, and how her story has gone?
Yeah. So as I said earlier in this episode, one of my big issues of season 4 was that Sister Sage was one of the two characters introduced, and I thought she was a pretty lame character. Between her super, like you said, it's very easy to write. Oh well, she planned. It's just easy to do lazy writing when you have a character like that, and unless you're writing it very well, like you said, it just kind of falls apart. And unfortunately, I think Eric Kripke is not so much as an intelligent writer as he is a sick, perverted, twisted little, I don't know what the hell kind of trauma he's got going on there, causing him to think of these scenes he writes. But I think he's a lot better at doing the perverted, twisted stuff than he is like intelligent, cunning, really deep layered strategies. So yeah, Sister Sage, she has been my least favorite character, maybe of the show. Maybe not. I would have to think about that, but absolutely in contention. And yeah, it's just her power isn't even super intelligence. It's just the power of gaslighting everybody as much as possible. Things go wrong, something, oh, this was actually my plan the whole time. So after the end of episode 6, I was 100% expecting her in episode 7 to be like, this was actually my plan the whole time. And I'm still expecting that to happen in the finale. So I just think, yeah, she's a super lame character. And at the end of episode 6, I was just like, what an idiot. This is the most intelligent person in the world. I don't buy it. So pretty weak point for the season so far, for sure.
Yeah, agreed that she's just not been a favourite character of mine. I've not cared about her one little bit. I think the only bit I've ever found her funny was the first time we saw her lobotomizing herself and just shagging the deep.
Bell.
Yeah. So, you know, apart from that, she's not been particularly interesting. So, but the whole point in this episode is that basically it all sort of converges with bomb sight. So, Bombsight's got the V1. They find Golden Geisha, who is basically like his ex-girlfriend, in a super retirement home, which is hilarious.
Golden Geisha.
Yeah, does just remind you of 80s porn, doesn't it?
Oh shit.
But yeah, so Golden Geisha, and they basically successfully use, well, the boys successfully use her to draw out Bombsight. Um, and then they find out that basically Bombsight wanted to give her the V1, she didn't want to use it, and knowing that she's in trouble, he brings the V1 with her. At that exact moment as well, when the boys are confronting Bombsight, Soldier Boy turns up as well, and they basically continue their 80-year grudge match, and fly off to have a fight in a random field. Whilst that's going on, though, as well, we have the fact that the boys had used the legend to track down Golden Geisha, and then Homelander finds the legend, lasers his boss in half, which is hilarious because it's just more random people dying for no reason. And then the legend takes Homelander to like their little base or whatever. And it's just one of those rare moments as well where the legend assumes he's going to die, so he just tells Homelander the truth and just tells him, "Look, this is shit. This is the way that it was done for you, and that's the way it's going to be." Gives him a tap on the shoulder and then expects it to be the end. And again, Homelander, it's just proving that point that everyone's talked about, that Homelander doesn't kill people that aren't afraid of him or respect him properly, and just lets him walk out.
Dude, I absolutely loved. It might have been my favorite scene. I don't know of the season, but definitely that episode. But it's a top boys scene for me. That was awesome. Paul Reiser has just killed it. Every time he's in the show, he's great as the legend. He was great in Stranger Things. Every time Paul Reiser shows up in a project, he's great to watch. But this scene with Homelander, yeah, where he just like that slap on the shoulder, and Anthony Starr's reaction, looking to him, kind of just like, the heck did he just do there? Yeah. It was just great. It was just really well performed there. What was the funniest part there? I forgot what the line was that he said to him, but it was just a great scene. Hilarious. He lets him go. He goes, "Don't say another word, just go." And of course, we're reminded of Firecracker getting her head shoved into an eagle wing after she said s'mores after he tried to let her go. So, no, that was just, I love that. That was one of my favorite scenes.
Fair. And then we get to basically the end of this episode, the big talking point of it. So, Soldier Boy and Bombsight have a bit more of a fight, and then they basically say that they're never going to stop fighting. He's never going to give him the V1. And then Soldier Boy offers him something that he didn't expect, where he goes, "I can take away your V. I can make you mortal, and you can live out your life with Geisha," even though she's like 70 odd now, and he still looks like he's about 30. Either way, go and get yourself some, go and make yourself immortal and get some granny action, and give me the syringe of V1 that you've got, which is exactly what he does. Soldier Boy takes his powers away, and then Homelander shows up. And then Bombsight runs for it. I kind of half expected Homelander to kill Bombsight at that point.
Totally. I was 100% waiting for that. I was like, he's going to blast him either right after. Like, I thought that was how he was going to arrive, was Bombsight was going to get lasered, and then we'd see Homelander just dropping down. So I am glad he escaped, just because as far as relationships and the boys go, they're all kind of twisted. And this seemed like kind of one of the purest, kind of genuine. I was like, actually kind of rooting for both of them. So I'm glad, like you said, she's probably only got 10 years, 15 years left. But yeah, it was kind of nice.
And then Homelander and Soldier Boy have another little conversation, and surprisingly, Soldier Boy gives him the V1, and says that he's not doing this because he's his son or that he likes him at all. He's doing it because Clara, aka Stormfront, would want that to happen. So he gives Homelander the syringe of V1. Homelander lasers his own arm and then injects himself with V1. Whilst the boys are watching on, like from the tree line, aren't they? And then as Homelander injects it, he has a little Superman freak out and shoots all the energy out of his eyes. And Butcher shoots himself. Sage is like, "This is not supposed to happen," and then they're just like, "Run."
Stupid ass
So
Sage. So
lots
did
of
that work for you? That Clara reasoning, did that work for you as far as the whole switch there, even though he
well,
just told him how much he hates him?
it ties into the two things, doesn't it? It ties into the fact that they've been building up the whole. I think it's a justified thing. People are saying that they've been building up towards Vault Rising being the next series, so they're playing a lot into Soldier Boy in his past with Bombsight, and then the fact that obviously Stormfront as Lady Liberty is going to be in this as well. And they built up over sort of like this, I guess maybe episode 3 onwards to now. The fact that there was more of a connection between Soldier Boy and Stormfront than we knew about, and obviously he revealed in a couple of episodes back that he was in love with her. And obviously Homelander has his own thing, and the rumors that she's technically Homelander's mum doesn't help. The fact that he's like, I came on her fucking face and on her chin.
I didn't even think of that possibility. Well, no, because I thought the woman who carried him,
she carried him. She was a surrogate.
Oh, true.
Because they obviously, he was created in a tube because they used Soldier Boy's DNA.
Right.
It's not like he directly inseminated someone, and there's no reason why they couldn't have used Stormfront's DNA as well, or eggs.
True.
So yeah, in terms of does it work, like the reasoning, no, not really, not for me. It just seems that like they were playing into obviously the Vault Rising thing using Stormfront, but again, just playing onto the fact that did Soldier Boy really love her? I'm not sure whether that's true or not either. It just seemed there's a couple of other theories that tie into it though as to why he did that and why he says that. I think the biggest one being is that there's two big ones. One is that he was too weak after having blasted Bombsight, because he seems to be weak after he uses the chest blasting. He was too weak to have a proper fight with Homelander at that second, so he just thought it would be easier to give the V1 to Homelander, because otherwise he could get himself fucked up quite badly, because he just didn't have the strength to fight right then, and we knew that was going to result in a fight if he didn't hand it over.
Yeah.
Second one is that Bombsight hands the V1 over to Soldier Boy, and then he uses this chest blast on him. And so the theory is going that because he held the syringe in his hand when he did it, Soldier Boy blasted any V1 out of the syringe at the same time that he did it to Bombsight. So what he actually gave Homelander was still the genuine syringe, but it no longer had any proper traces of V1 in it. So when Homelander injects it into self, it might have a temporary boost, but it could be now that the fact that there's no proper V1 in it, and it could actually be weakening Homelander over the long term. And so because he knew that it was not going to have V1 in it, he handed it over to Homelander freely.
I like that one more.
He just uses the thing about Clara as a reason to give it to him without him being sus.
Right. And that makes more sense because the Clara thing has felt like a shoe-in for this season, because obviously he returned to season 3. He wasn't looking for her. He was looking for Crimson Countess or whatever her name was, and he was in love with her and all that stuff. And then all of a sudden now this Clara thing, because he even mentioned her in season 3. He said, she was he said, I think he actually called her a firecracker in bed or something like that, but talking about Liberty. But it wasn't anything deeper than that. So all of a sudden, it just kind of felt like this is new that they're kind of shoehorning in at the end here. But that would, if he's still got, but then he tried to escape to Bogota and leave him. So I don't know. I don't know what Soldier Boy's plan really was there.
Well, I think he just has enough of Homelander altogether. He knows that like someone's going to bring down Homelander. It doesn't necessarily need to be him.
True, I guess if he took out the
V1, of drugs and fuck around, doesn't he? So, but yeah, so that takes us out of episode 6 into this week's episode. Episode 7, entitled "The Frenchman, the Female, and the Man Called Mother's Milk." Now, after last week's episode, when they revealed this was the title of this week's episode, you're like, okay, there's going to be some deaths coming.
They're dying.
The only reason you name people in an episode is when they're about to fucking die, because you focus on them. Interestingly, obviously, I think they focused on Frenchie and Kamiko a bit more, especially obviously Frenchie in this episode, and they didn't focus too much on Mother's Milk. Considering you named him in the episode, you didn't really give him too much. I mean, we got the explanation of how he got his name.
Yeah.
And that's a little bit and that was kind of it for him.
Yeah.
True. But basically, the episode starts off. We'll just start at the beginning. He's propelled by his propelled by his new immortality, Homelander takes control of the Oval Office. So we finally got that scene from the trailer where he's sat in the Oval Office, feet up on the desk, and he basically like kills the president. He squishes his head for being a non-believer. Um, and then he just wants to bring in a totalitarian fascist empire. So he's unhinged demands as like disbanding Congress, declaring the Democratic Church of America the national religion, and banning nut milk. He's like, breastfeeding is compulsory. Get all the other milks out of here, fake milks, including nut milk, which is fucking hilarious. And he also fires the Deep as well and disbands the Seven. Just to throw a load of stuff in there. So, your thoughts on the start of this episode with all that shit going down?
Yeah, a lot was going on there. I guess I'm still waiting for the ball to kind of drop on this whole V1 has changed Homelander, because the way he speaks right now feels differently. Like the way he's talking, I don't know, it just totally feels like his mentality has changed now that he's had that, which of course, because now he fully believes that he has achieved the god level that he wants. I think disbanding the Seven makes perfect sense because they've been pathetic for a long time. Like he says, he's like, I mean, let's be honest, we haven't had Seven in quite a long time. It's like, yeah, it's kind of been a joke. Which, by the way, we kind of forgot to talk about. They're down another one because the Deep killed Black Noir last episode.
Oh shit! Yeah, sorry,
episode 6.
Black
Noir
death as well.
Broke that pipeline to get back. Yeah, to get back in the Deep for killing Adam Bork. So he kills 1.4 billion fish by destroying a pipeline, and the Deep kills him very easily, might I add. The Black Noir is able to fly, among other things, and he just got choked out like a little bitch, kind of. So that was interesting. So yeah, the Seven's kind of gone. So it makes sense that Homelander doesn't need their pathetic little, he's not playing the politics anymore. He's fully embracing just taking over everything.
Yeah, the Black Noir thing was ridiculous. I forgot to touch on it. That's how shit it was that it just got out of my mind that I didn't even want to talk about it. It was that bad. It's just an awful way to go when he's supposed to be like fairly bulletproof. He can fly and stuff, and yeah, just ridiculous that he gets killed off by the Deep of all people. But yeah, so banning nut milk, for or against?
4. I'm with him on that one. Get it out of here.
Yeah, I don't mind oat milk, to be fair, but yeah.
I guess you can keep that. It's not quite a nut.
It's a fake milk still. Like Homelander wouldn't be down for everybody. So
it is. No, he wouldn't.
Cow's milk, breast milk, or nothing. So
maybe goat.
Well, maybe. I mean, Dave's just supping on his breast milk there in that can.
That is what that is.
Okay, so so essentially, then Homelander's gone nuts. He the Deep has basically been ruined now because he's lost the Seven. He's not part of it anymore. And we get probably one of the best cameos of the season as well from the Hammerhead Shark. Who basically rips into the Deep, telling him that it's obviously been set up so that they know it was him that destroyed the pipeline and killed all the fish. They basically tell him that if he gets in the water again, then they're all going to fucking kill him. Which results a little bit later in the fact that there's a man drowning and the Deep refuses to get in and is recorded not getting in because he's so scared. Before we go back to the shark, just quickly, do you think the guy was actually drowning properly and needed saving, or were like the fish and stuff like pulling the guy under to make the Deep get in the water so they could kill it? Yeah, essentially.
No, I didn't think that. I was just thinking like you can swim super fast. He's like 30 feet away from you. Even if there's a shark out there, you have super strength. I think you'll be okay saving this dude still. I don't know that the normal fish can tear a superhuman apart unless they're all in there waiting for him. But it was hilarious just watching him slink back behind out of the camera frame.
But the shark, motherfucking shark, voiced by none other than Samuel L. Jackson. Is that not been one of the best cameos? Because the minute he starts talking, I'm like looking at my wife going, that voice is so recognizable straight away.
Yep. Oh, that was great. That was hilarious. Yeah. As soon as I realized it was him, I was laughing.
Yeah, definitely one of the best bits of the episode. But then we focus on basically the boys and Father for a lot of the rest of this episode. So A father is testing like propaganda videos of Homelander receiving the crown from Jesus, in a group of VIPs that are being shepherded by psychics who are there to test whether they all truly believe that Homelander is now the Lord and Savior, um, which was absolutely ridiculous. Um, Huey and the boy are captured by Synapse, who fucks with them and then turns into Jeffrey Dean Morgan, to play that scenario back. And we get a little bit more information about Butcher and what he's done in the past, his military past, and the fact that
Ooh.
he's always been the guy that's like, it's all or nothing when we're doing this, even if no one else makes it out but me, sort of situation. So we see why he's got this attitude when it comes to taking down Homelander in the soups. Before they have a great moment where Huey tricks him, Synapse, into thinking about his brother's murder, which allows Butcher to kill himself. And he basically like, I'm going to enjoy this cunt, before doing exactly what he said he was going to do, and rips him in half.
Yeah.
But we get Starlight and Mother's Milk on the other side. They're the ones that we're tracking a father because they basically want to kidnap him. And they see the whole video of Homelander receiving the crown from Jesus, and then which was absolutely ridiculous. And just before we get to the rest of their story, we get this weird scene when they're trying to hide in the ceiling of She-Line and Dognot,
Dude.
basically in the room, where they're going around in circles, sniffing each other's butts, telling each other what they had for lunch. Again, just the fucked upness of the boys comes to the forefront here with this scene, does it not?
It does. Again, it was another moment where this is the penultimate episode of the final season of the series. And a third of this episode followed a dog and cat sniffing each other's asses. And then the final fight, the only major fight we got in this penultimate episode was with those two.
Mm.
Coming from season 3, where we had Homelander and Soldier Boy fighting and powered up got Butcher and Maeve, and we had these crazy showdowns, and then the penultimate for this season is Dogman and Cat Bitch rolling around and getting shot. She's not even that strong. She's just getting capped. It was just the whole thing. I was like, what? That part was a little. I was like, why are we wasting time on this episode with this stuff? This is season 2, season 3 nonsense in the boys. So it was. I mean, it was funny. It was just ridiculous.
I mean, I think of it exactly like you. The fact this is the penultimate episode. Why are we doing this? At the same point, this is the kind of random scene that's always been there throughout all of the boys, and it kind of makes it funny at times, and gives you that weird fucked up comic relief. So I don't disparage it being in there. It's just like, as you said, the only major fight we got in this episode was between Starlight, Milk, and these two. And it and I swear to God, Dognot's been killed like 6 times throughout Gen V and this and the boys. Like, how is he still alive? I really don't understand what, apart from it being like the powers of a dog
Powers
or a
of
hound,
a dog.
like how he's still alive. Because I swear Starlight kills him in Gen V.
I thought so too. So apparently dogs have 9 lives in this universe instead of cats. I don't know.
The cat didn't. No, sniffing his butt transferred the 9 lives to him.
Yeah, she dead. But and even
and corn salsa.
Oh god. Even Starlight, I don't know, dude. She's just kind of useless when it comes to fights. I mean, she has her light blasts. She had her peak in season 3 where she learned how to fly and blasted Soldier Boy, and she used the entire building's power, and all it did was essentially flashbang Soldier Boy for about 12 seconds. And that was it. And then she was exhausted and passed out and dropped out on the ground. And now she's fighting Dognot, getting her ass whipped for the first half of it. It's just like, you were one of those 7, right? Because I don't know. She's just like one of the worst superheroes the boys could have drafted to their team to help in this fight, as far as helpfulness goes. She's just not very useful. I don't know.
Well, it was the criticism of her a couple of episodes back, wasn't it? When she has that bit with a father, and he basically like just completely flattens her with a few shouts, and Huey has to step in and pretend like he's going to drop the virus.
Exactly.
To stop him. So like, we was expecting a big fight there, and then she just got like steamrolled for a couple of shouts, and then that was it. So,
It's just
but yeah,
pathetic. It's just a
we
little
learn
pathetic.
obviously how Mother's Milk gets his name because he's using it as a story of hope when it looks like Starlight's basically given up. Um, and he says, I love my name, to be fair. So like, you've always got to give someone hope, and then so they decide to save the people because basically they let like 6 out of the 30 VIPs go because they're the ones that truly believed. And then Homelander's like, I'm not here for this shit. I'm done with this. Like, just kill them off already, and we'll
Mhm.
start again. Father doesn't want to, but he's like, hey, see you later. Um, and then obviously they step in. They have their fight with She-Line in Dognut, and Dognut eventually gets trashed. Mother's Milk deals with She-Line pretty well, to be fair, considering she's pretty lethal with her claws, and her jumping ability and stuff. So dispatches her quite quickly, and they let them escape. And they take the others because we did have in the run up to this when they were going after a father that we finally got the Gen V crossover with Jordan Lee
Oh my
and Marie
god.
Moreau. Finally, after being
About
name
time.
dropped earlier, and the fact that they've been tracking him, and then like Starlight had told them there was no hope and they just need to disappear.
Mhm.
They seemed a little aggressive from their maybe Gen V like series. I thought when they were like having a go back at Starlight, especially when like Starlight's telling Marie, she's like, "What's the point in having your level of power if you don't know how to control it?" It's like, okay, well, why aren't you teaching them then? It's like
Well, I'd be
she's
like,
been,
well, I don't know. With I just killed Thomas Godolkin among a bunch of other people, and this entire project has been named after me. You can make a room brighter for 10 seconds. What's the point of your powers, Starlight? Like, what? I don't know. That part, I was with Marie. I was like, dude,
Mm,
she's been told she's like the chosen one for all of Gen V. They built her up to be this incredible character that she's going to have all these powers. And then she finally shows up in episode 7. Starlight's like, yeah, get out of here. You can't even control your powers. It's like, well, she can't, but they're still more useful than yours. So maybe keep her around. I don't know.
mm.
Yeah,
It seems they're definitely
whatever.
going to have a role to play. Obviously, we're still missing like Kate and Sam from the forum
Yeah.
as well to see if
Yeah.
they show up in the last finale episode. So it's like the final big showdown. Um, but then we'll get to the heartbreaking bit of this episode. Then, so we find out that Butcher and Frenchie's plan was the fact that they're going to give Kamiko the same chest blasting powers that Soldier Boy has, and so they have been. I'm guessing that they took the depleted, the enriched uranium from Fort Harmony, and brought it back, and they think they've done their calculations. They're trying to give it to her, but she's obviously getting weakened every time because they haven't really got it spot on. Frenchie's trying to convince Sage this whole time to actually be useful instead of lobotomizing herself and watching Love Island the whole time. Trying to convince her that love is not a weakness. Is It happens in every fucking show that you need to convince someone that falling in love with someone or having love in your life is not a weak thing to have. A very cliche trope thing to have done. But Sage eventually agrees. She says, like, well, we've got to go for it now, so no matter what, you can't stop. But then Frenchie's early warning system kicks in that a flying super's on the way, Homelander. So they finish the treatment with Kamiko. Sage and Kamiko get into the zinc lined shaft or whatever, and Frenchie's hiding in the irradiation room. And that I thought this was a good sort of creepy scene when the Homelander shows up because you know that he knows where Sage and Kamiko are, and he's sort of zoning in on them. But like the fact that Frenchie just taps on the wall, and Homelander's like whoosh, and he's right there. Um, and again
Terrifying.
shows the heart of Frenchie that he knows what's about to happen in this moment. Kind of a little bit like with like the legend in the fact that he's got no reason to back down from Homelander, and he knows what's about to happen. And he's like,
Mhm.
"I bet you've never danced a day in your life." And he's like, he gives him the finger, tells him to suck on his balls, and opens the uranium and just shows
Mhm.
Homelander that he's still not invulnerable. Like we know that obviously he can still be hurt and injured, but he can just recover better now. He's got technically, or if he does have the V1 in his system, so we
Right.
see him start to get the scolding face. The only thing that didn't make sense to me here is that after Homelander leaves, because he told them that Frenchie told him that Kamiko was on her way and that they were going to blast him and take away his power. So Homelander fucks off. Is that they go and see Frenchie crawling on the floor, and he's crawling in a trail of blood, which doesn't seem to be anywhere on him when Kamiko's holding him in his arms. I'm like, I didn't know if Homelander had done something to him just before he left, or if that was just supposed to be from his body being melted away from the uranium. Because that seems to be the main reason why he's obviously dying off here, is because he's just irradiated himself essentially. So, but obviously we
Yeah,
get
I think his
Frenchie
inner
dying,
organs
Kimiko.
gone.
We get Frenchie basically dies in Kimiko arms, and they pay tribute at the end of this episode because they basically left the screen blank for like a good 5 seconds before kicking into the credits. So
Mhm.
in an episode that starts with a Frenchman, it ends with a Frenchman dying, which I think we all guessed at the start of the season, Frenchie was going to be one of the ones to go. Did you expect it to happen this way though?
Not in this way, but at the start of the episode, I think they started talking about their family and a future again, and we started hearing them talk about that in season 3, I think. And I was like, okay, so, or no, maybe it was 4. I was like, okay, Frenchie's dying or Kamiko's dying, and they didn't. And then we got to this, and so yeah, for sure, I was expecting it. I didn't think it would exactly go that way. I thought Homelander would still wreck him. It probably would have been easier if he just lasered him in half, because I will say that moment with Kamiko holding him as he's dying, and that was very emotional. And Karen Fukuhara, I think is her last name, the actress who plays Kamiko, killed it. I mean, dude, it went black and you still heard her sobs. And like, sometimes when people cry in projects and whatnot, you don't feel it. It's like, okay, it's obviously acting. Man, that one felt like she reached deep for that. She was thinking of something that was breaking her heart, because those were real, like, sobs. That was intense, man. That was a really, really sad ending. Really sad ending for a character. I'm surprised he was the only one who died that episode, but they made it so weighted. It just felt so impactful that it was a really, really well written end to Frenchie in the end of the episode. I thought it was done really well.
Yeah, 100% agree with you. I definitely expected more people, or more of the main characters, to be killed off in this episode. And the fact that we're kind of getting, like I said, we've only got one episode to go now. We've only really had like 3 major character deaths, which I guess was going to be Firecracker, Noir, and Frenchie. Apart from that, everyone's kind of making it through. So it does make me wonder if more people are going to survive the end than I originally predicted. Because I think I only really predicted that that maybe Starlight and Huey would be the only ones to walk away at the end.
I thought Huey was dying too, and I was kind of looking forward to it, if I'm being honest. But
yeah, he is. I think we talked about it before, maybe, but it's just like the only dude that should not have survived this entire time has somehow survived the entire time, and the entire dude that they keep saying like he's the one that brings relentless hope to the group. But apart from that, he's been a fucking pain in the ass the entire time.
it's pretty useless.
It makes you wonder if Butcher could have achieved his goals far quicker if it wasn't for Huey holding him back.
I'm thinking. I was just going to say real quick, shout out Jeffrey Dean Morgan, even though it wasn't really his character. He had a great performance in this episode, so I'm glad we got a little bit more out of his acting as the psychic when he took his form there. So that was a solid part of the episode. And we got Soldier Boy is back in his tank now, because as he tried to go boast off, Homelander just chokes him out. Like, what in the hell? What did you think of that?
Rubbish. It's the third time now he's been back in that pod. Yeah, we meet him in the pod. He goes back into it for a while in season 3 to basically the start of this season, and now he's back in it again. Like, for a dude that's supposed to be like pretty much invulnerable, being choked out by Homelander makes no sense. No, like, he should be able to recover pretty quickly. He shouldn't be able to be choked out like that.
Felt like he let it happen. Kind of, I don't know. It just felt, and I do have a prediction for his future for the finale, but it was just, it was a little annoying when that happened. I was just like, really, he's back in the tank again? Okay.
Yeah, because it just doesn't make sense that you're gonna put him back in for the entire finale episode. Like, it just surely can't happen.
It's the end of the show. He's got to come back.
So we are going to finish with our predictions. Just one thing before we get to our predictions for the finale episode, which is entitled Blood and Bone, by the way. And it's been confirmed that it's 1 hour and 5 minutes long.
Okay. I like that.
Do you think that the promotion, because like I know promotional material is a bit different because sometimes it over elaborates things for the series, but in all the promotion running up to the start of the season, we saw posters that showed like Homeland up in space looking down on the Earth while it looked like there were loads of nuclear explosions going on. We saw Butcher
Yep.
walking past what looked like a collapsed Vought tower that was in absolute like destruction around him.
Yep.
So it felt like they were setting this up to be a series where the entire country, if not the planet, was gonna get fucking wrecked in this final battle between the Seven and the boys. Do you feel we've been massively undersold on that for this season? And the promotional material kind of lied a little
I
bit.
I am starting to feel like it was just dramatic promotional material. Yeah, a little bit. And I can't recall if they've done that in the past as far as their season posters have gone, but yeah, I don't think all of that's happening in the finale. And I was kind of expecting that too. You know, Homelander threatens at one point in season 2, I think. Go ahead, release the video.
Mm.
Then I'll have nothing to lose. I think I'll start with the nerve center first, the Pentagon. You know, I'm going to take out this and that. So I was kind of expecting to be getting that finally because they released the video. He was convinced to still keep his cool. But there's only one episode left, so there's not enough time for them to expose him to lash out, him to start doing all that, and then them to stop him from doing all of that all in one episode. So I don't think that's the route we're going right now.
But finale predictions then. Let me do mine first, and then you can jump in and do yours. So, always said there's obviously going to be, should be, hopefully quite a lot of deaths going on in this final episode. Prediction: Starlight kills the Deep. I think that's got to happen just so she can get her retribution from how she got onto the Seven in the first place. Because the Deep needs to die. I don't like the fact that they potentially look like they were setting up an arc for him to go against Homelander, in the fact that, you know, he fired him and got rid of the Seven and whatever. The Deep needs to die as far as I'm concerned. Mother's Milk, Starlight, Kimiko, and Huey to survive at the end. Mother's Milk was always on my list, but the way that they've kind of done in the last few episodes makes me think they're going to get him, because he was going down the whole I'm supporting Butcher all the way, and he kind of seems in the last episode or two to have flipped that round and realised he has a reason to go beyond death and not accept it the way that he has been. So kind of giving him a reason to survive. Obviously, the final showdown is that Soldier Boy is going to come out of stasis. He's not going to be kept in there. Kimiko tries to do her whole chest power thing, doesn't quite pull it off. It doesn't quite work the same way that Soldier Boy does. Soldier Boy then does use it on Homelander to wipe the V out of his system. And he becomes human, because they're like, the biggest punishment we can give you, or Soldier Boy's like, the biggest thing I can fuck you up with is to make you human and make you suffer rather than being the immortal prick that you are. But Butcher's not going to let that go. Butcher fucking stomps on Homelander's head or something to kill him as a human. And then Huey kills Butcher to finish it all off, because Butcher's not going to rest until all supers are gone, not just Homelander. That's always been his mission. And obviously Huey's always said we've got to find a way to save Kimiko and Starlight as well. So Butcher kills Homelander, Huey kills Butcher, and everyone else, including Soldier Boy, get to fuck off in their own way and go their own ways and live happily ever after. That's my predictions for who makes it through and who dies in the final episode and how it ends. What about you?
So I don't have as full as a prediction, but I am bummed you went first, because that was so part of what you just said. Part of my prediction was we're leading up to this Kimiko chest blast, which is kind of a really rushed, kind of goofy plot point for me too. But that was my prediction. It was going to be that failed. They thought all hope was lost, and Soldier Boy strolls out and blasts Homelander with the chest blast. So that I 100% that I think that's happening too. I'm not on the Huey kills Butcher, but I had the same thing. I think Homelander is going to be normal, and I don't think Butcher was going to let him live. So whether he was stopped before he killed Homelander or afterwards, but I don't have Huey killing him. I'm not sure who I have killing Butcher, but unfortunately, I do have Huey and Starlight surviving this, even though I don't want that. I agree Mother's Milk's going to survive this. Butcher will not. Homelander will not. I think Soldier Boy actually does survive this and ends up going off to Bogota and does a bunch of cocaine and finds some hookers down there. I don't know how Butcher stops, but I don't think the virus is coming into play either. I kind of feel
No,
like
I don't.
that's
They've
going to
kind of
take a
moved
back
past
seat and
that
it's
now.
just done. Yeah, yeah. I don't think we're even messing with that anymore. So maybe, actually, no, I got it. Marie stops Butcher because she realized Marie's going to be a big portion of this. She still has a part to play. She has to do something with these powers they've been building up. If they don't, I'm going to be severely disappointed because Gen V season 2 literally was making her the chosen one. And if that was all for nothing, that's very silly for bringing in a show to explain stuff and then making the explanations not even matter. So Marie's got to do something big here, whether it's killing Butcher or Soldier Boy. I believe Marie will do that.
What about the one character we haven't talked about because he hasn't been around for a while? Fuck me, what is his name? Just escaped out my head.
Stan Edgar
Homeland's. No, well, he might pop up again, but
takes over Vought again.
Homelander's son.
Oh, Ryan.
Ryan.
Oh, well, maybe he's the one who kills Butcher in the end. Huh.
Maybe.
He has to come into play too. And they've been there's so much stuff for one episode. Like,
how is this not at least 2 hours long? Or another 4
how does
episodes?
Ryan has to show up though. He's got to fight Homelander in some regard.
Because you can't see anything but like some final showdown between the soups that support Homelander and Homelander himself, and then the boys and everyone else that's on their side. There has to be. Because I keep calling for all these final battles. I called for it in Daredevil. Like I wanted to see like everyone show up, and like in a way, I guess it did. But you wanted to see like Bullseye lining up with Daredevil and Jessica Jones and Luke Cage, and them fighting up against like Fisk and Buck and stuff like that. And then that didn't happen. And like I keep calling for these final showdowns in all the finales. Like it's an old school premise. Maybe I'm getting to that age now where I just hope for the days when there's always a final battle in the final episode of a season. But surely that's got to happen here. Like they can't. They've got to make good on the whole like scorched earth thing between Homelander and Butcher. Surely.
Yep. And I think Butcher maybe even says that right before he splits Homelander in half. Scorched earth. But yeah, I don't know, dude. Honestly, overall, I'm just a little nervous. There's too much stuff to be concluded well enough in an hour-long episode. Even an hour and 5 minutes, I don't think is enough. So.
About 5
we'll see.
Credits, won't it?
Yeah, well, yeah, that's what I was wondering. Sometimes when they announce those, HBO's been doing that. Like with A Night of the Seven Kingdoms, they said it was a 31-minute episode, but when you open it, it shows 38 because it actually. So when they put those episode numbers, it wasn't counting the credits in the intro, which was surprising because they normally don't do that. So hopefully it's an hour and 5 minutes of actual show, but probably not.
Lots of action.
Yes.
Are you going to miss the boys once it's done next week overall?
Probably a little bit. It's been a love-hate more recently, but it is still one of those shows where even when it came out this season, I am always very eager to watch the next episode because it is still entertaining regardless. Even if I'm like, what are they doing with the plot? It's still entertainment. They do a good job at it. So yeah, probably a little bit. It's not like my top show, but yeah, a little bummed it's done. But I guess not as much because we're going to get Vought Rising. I mean, we're still getting the stuff moving with Soldier Boy. So I'm not heartbroken.
Yeah, it's not quite going to be the same though, is it? It's not. There's not.
No,
it's not going
it's
to
true.
be Butcher
We don't get the
around
boys.
calling everyone fucking cunts. So it's not quite going to be the same. But yeah, I'd say it took me a while to get into the boys. I think 2 seasons had already been out by the time I actually started watching it. It was one of those ones that I put on my list and just took me far too long to get around to. But I've really enjoyed it since. I think I'll miss this show once it's gone. Because there's just not that many different superhero stuff. We're stuck with DC and Marvel as like the main superhero stuff. And you get like a different one that every now and again comes out, don't you? But it's still just not quite the same. So,
you got Invincible, but some people don't watch it, so that's fine. It isn't. It's animated.
Okay, well, that wraps up our last few weeks' boys review episodes 5 to 7. As we said, we're down to the finale next week. We will, of course, be back to check that out and review it in full. As I said at the start of the show, make sure you're tuning in Sunday, 9 a.m. PST, live here on YouTube, for all 4 of the Why So Serious crew together, as we review the Punisher special presentation, One Last Kill. As I also mentioned at the top, jump onto our social media, Instagram, TikTok, X, where you can keep up to date and see loads of clips of stuff. JD's, of course, doing a fantastic job over on the YouTube Shorts and TikTok as always. Me and Dave are barely holding down Instagram between the two of us, and X. I really need to do better on that. To be fair, I've got so many clips to post. I'm just like, I'd rather watch TikTok myself and watch myself and my own clips from Why So Serious. But get on there. Obviously, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen to podcasts, you'll find all our episodes on there. Pretty much every Tuesday, episodes get dropped brand new. So by the time you wake up in the morning, episodes should already be uploaded. So you've got a reason to listen to them on your way to work. And that's pretty much it for this week. I thought there might be something else I was going to say, but my mind went blank because it's now midnight, and I think I should go to bed. Dave, thank you very much, buddy, for joining us. I know you've had a really busy day. We just got one comment quickly, just before we leave. We got Bloody Knuckles has come in and said, "I've loved the season. Comedy is hit. Big deaths. A-Train and Frenchie were awesome. Not to mention the 7 deaths. Soldier Boy and the Homelander have been great. I think they tied a bunch of stuff." I'm assuming there's going to be another comment after that, a bunch of stuff up. But that's pretty much it. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining us. We really appreciate it. And as always, we will see you next time on Why So Serious, a Nerd Podcast.